Welcome. We are here. The NBA Cup is finished. Jarod Hector is back. TrueHoop and voiceover also.
Yeah,
Voiceover
yeah,
actor.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Voiceover actor, NBA voice. One of the best voices in NBA podcasting.
Appreciate that, man.
Jarod, you know that I've been interested in the NBA Cup. I know you're interested in the NBA Cup. We have a little bit of a different sensibility on it. I feel like than most people. The Bucks have won the NBA Cup this second year, and the game was a stinker. The final, unfortunately, like we were all very excited about it. They ended up beating
Yeah.
the Oklahoma City Thunder, 97-81. Jarod, we're gonna get into like just what makes the cup work, why doesn't it, like why hasn't it resonated
hmm
widely,
hmm
and you and I both, like, we follow sports on like a global level. Like, for
hmm
example, your second most followed sport would be football, soccer
hmm
as people
hmm
call it in the States. Mine would be boxing. Both of them are global sports. Both of them have, like, especially in soccer, tournaments that are
hmm
international and things of that
hmm
nature. In boxing, they've had like the Super Series, for example, that's been taking place mostly globally. And in basketball internationally, which we both follow, and we talked about this a lot during the summer, there are other leagues with NBA
hmm
Cup style tournaments, super
hmm
cups, if you will.
Yep.
So we want to get into that a little bit, but first we'll stick to this game, just a simple game, and there's not a lot here. But I mean, what are your biggest takeaways from Milwaukee just taking it to Oklahoma City and Oklahoma City just struggling offensively all night long?
Yeah. I mean, the story of the game is the Milwaukee Bucks were plus 36 from the 3-point line. I mean, that's the game in a nutshell right there. If a team outscores you by 36 points from three, you are not going to win the game or be in it unless you are dominating them from the free throw line, which the Thunder were not, unless you were hitting a boatload of twos, which the Thunder also were not, right? I mean, they shot 33% overall in this game. They got out rebounded. It just wasn't a good shooting night for them. And look, some of that is credit to the Bucks defense and their length, right? They played good defense, but some of it was also Thunder just missing makeable shots, right? A lot of those shots were wide open. A lot of SGA shots. He was, I want to say, 8 of 25 or something from the field. A lot of the shots that he was missing are ones that he makes, right? It's just like sometimes it's not your night, and you tip your cap. Look, I will say the Bucks. The other thing I'll take away from this is the Bucks started the year poorly, 2-8. And many people, me included, were like, look, I wrote this team off. And look, and I'm not going to be here and say they're winning the NBA championship. I'm not going that far.
Right.
But they're playing better basketball than they were to start the season. I would still favor Boston in a series against them, best out of seven in the Eastern Conference. But Milwaukee has made a statement with winning this NBA Cup. And let's see now if it can buoy them throughout the rest of the season as they advance towards the postseason and ultimate goal of winning another championship, which they want to do.
Would still favor Boston, still like Cleveland. I would still say the Knicks and Milwaukee is, like, I have to think about that one,
Yeah, the
I
Knicks
guess.
worry me, but they're going to be injured and or dead tired come April. So I'm like, I'm like Tibbs. Listen, it is what it is. So
But the thing about this is, like, Milwaukee has been playing better defensively, and that's the thing that I've been worried about. Now, some of this is just the lackluster shooting, sure, from Oklahoma City, sure, but watching the game, like,
mhm.
Milwaukee actually was doing
Yeah,
things
yeah,
defensively. Like, they had an understanding, hey, Oklahoma City needs to shoot a bunch of threes in order to stay with this game. This is why Isaiah Joe is out here, for example. This is why
hmm
they're trying to keep somebody on the perimeter. This is why, like, and all these different things. And Milwaukee was figuring out ways, like, to take away that 3-point shot. Probably not as simple as just running them off the line, as a lot of people want to attribute it to, but there was some of that as well. And it did feel like Milwaukee, like, they defended, like, they stuck
yeah.
to their principles. They had an understanding of, like, hey, we're a 3-point barrage away from giving up this lead. We're not going to do that. The defense has gotten up to 13th in defense now. I mean, the NBA championship formula is top 11 offense and top 11 defense. They're 11th in the
hmm
NBA in offense and 13th in defense right now. Before we toss it to OKC, I mean, I do feel like they're figuring something out. I still don't think they're going to take out one of the top, or I guess Boston or potentially even Cleveland. I would favor Cleveland in the series between them for now.
Yeah,
But they do have the experience with Giannis. They do
no
have
doubt.
Dame, who's had, like, some big games or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And it does feel like, hey, their front office has gotten aggressive. And if they do make a move, maybe they position themselves in a different way. And now we're in trade season. So
No doubt. Look, what the Bucks are missing to me is enough depth, right? Bobby Portis is fine. Pat Connaughton, man, I know Gary Trent Jr. is like doing whatever right now, but let's see how that lasts over the course of a full season into the postseason. That's what worries me. But look, any team that has Giannis, Dame, and Chris Middleton as your three guys in the postseason who can help you get, I mean,
Middleton, who
that's
didn't play.
right. That's a recipe for success. And look, this is a team that's won a championship. I don't want to poo-poo that. My thing is just like, look, I just don't know that, to your point, over the course of a full season and when the postseason gets here, are they going to beat Cleveland and Boston? Are they going to beat, Orlando and Cleveland? Are they going to, right? Like this, I just think there are a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference who are younger, we're going to have fresher legs, who also can guard, who are going to present problems for them. And, teams that also make moves. The Bucks are also limited cap-wise what they could do with any kind of move right now, right? Whereas a team like Orlando, they can make a move. They get Paulo and friends are back. They can make a move and get another scorer type person. With the defense they got, I might favor Orlando depending on who they got in any kind of free agency move to beat Milwaukee. So, look, kudos to the Bucks again. Doc made a point. They said it. They wanted to win this thing from the jump.
Sure.
And they went out and they did it. Single elimination. Giannis played possessed like a man with a house on fire. I mean, he's just tough to stop down there. Brook Lopez hitting threes. I mean, the Bucks shot well from three. They are a good 3-point shooting team. What it is.
Yeah, and they have some contracts to play with, as we talked about. Like Bobby Portis is 12.5. I think Bobby Portis is better on this team than in a deal, but that's one of the contracts that unfortunately you're going to be able to do something with potentially just because of the number that he's at. But I would try to keep Bobby Portis. He's turned it around after a slow start. Pat Connaughton is one that you should go shopping with. That's 9.4. Yeah, sure. Brook Lopez is 23. I think he's another guy that they're probably going to keep, even though he's an expiring contract. And right now, if the playoffs started today, the Bucks would be the 5. They'd be playing the Orlando Magic, who is the 4 seed, and that would be the first round series. And the winner of that would play, Cleveland if they remain number 1, or potentially Boston. So I mean, that's what Milwaukee has to sort of gear up for. Although they can get to 3rd and potentially play the Knicks. So I mean, or really jump over the Knicks. Let's hit OKC really quickly before we get into the macro stuff that we want to get to. Is this a worrisome performance for you? Let's just start there.
No, because in the single elimination game, in any one-off game, anybody can beat anybody, right? That's what makes the NCAA tournament, for instance, so exciting, right? Is because a 16 seed can can beat a 1 seed, right? Like that's what makes it super exciting. So not concerning from this particular game perspective, but something you said on Blue Sky, and then I had to think about it and say, oh, you're right. Do the Thunder need to get more shooting? And I think they do, right? Only because as a team, they only shoot 35% from 3. And I know that's not a big part of their offense. They're a big dribble drive, pass out, right? And Chet's missing, and that matters, right? Because Chet's an elite 3-point shooter. But you can never have enough shooting, right? So they can definitely go out and get more shooting. And they have the pieces and the assets to do it. So I think, look, when they go small, right, the Bucks had Giannis and Brook on the floor at the same time. And the tallest person I think the Thunder had was Shea. Was he 6'6", 6'5"? I mean,
something like that, yeah, 6'6".
Right. So that's a problem. But even despite all that, Bryan, they are maniacal defensively, get their hands in passing lanes, and they rotate well. Now, part of their issue tonight was that their team speed, which is so elite, there were moments in the game where it wasn't fully connected and elite, right? They were a little bit slow on their rotations, and that's what led to some easy dunks and some wide open shots. And the problem is that when you are not making shots on offense, even though you are super connected on defense like this team is, it gets harder and harder to play that elite defense because it bleeds over on that side of the court. It's like, man, we can't buy a shot. So you're still thinking about the missed shot, and you're half a beat slow on your rotation, right? And so these are the things that that plague them in this game. Do I think it's a problem overall? No. I think Mark Dagnall's an excellent coach. OKC's well schooled and well drilled, but I do think you see, and you saw tonight, the Chet absence, right, and what his ability to shoot threes and all that, what that created a problem for them. I think Hartenstein was great in this game, particularly in the first half, not so much in the second, missing some of those shots, but still a good defender, good rebounder. They have a move to make. Now the question is Sam Presti going to do the move that he has to make, or is he going to keep selling the ownership on, let's just be who we are, kick this down the curb, and I keep my job for another however many years, right? Because when you make that swing and that move and you get that piece, you are saying you're all in, right? And then if things don't work out, that's when things start getting a little hairy. People are like, well, what's happening? What's this? What's that? They just keep buying time with what they're doing and, play it that way. We'll see.
A couple things here. One, on the 3-point front, because that's the thing that stood out to me. It reminded me, this performance, of what I was seeing with them in the Dallas series, which is
Mhm.
what we talked about a little bit before we got on here. In the conference semifinals, for people who may have forgotten, Oklahoma City shot about 34% from three in that series. This season, in the regular season, they're shooting about 35-ish percent.
35.9, something like that. Yep.
Yeah, so 36 roughly, but
Mhm.
19th in the NBA in 3-point percentage, even though they're top 10 in attempts, and in 3-point attempt rate, they're in the top half of the league. So the volume is pretty much where you'd expect, but the percentage, like, there's a gap between the volume and the percentage, which means you need better shooters. Like, you're getting the shots, you're getting the looks, and ultimately they're not going to be a team that's going to shoot at the same rate as, say, Boston, for example.
Right.
Nobody is,
Correct.
but you get what I'm saying. Like, their
Mhm.
process is a little bit different, and that's sort of taken after Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who is not somebody who's going to destroy you from three. Like, he has that
Mhm.
capability here and there, but
Mhm.
ultimately he does his work inside the paint, and at the foul line, honestly.
Right.
So
Yep.
to me, I was like, all right, we saw this for an entire playoff series. We saw it again in a big spot here. Don't want to overreact, but I do think this team needs shooting,
Yeah,
and
I do.
shooting you could trust in the playoffs, which is going to be
Mhm.
hard to find, because even if you do find it, like, one name that jumped out to my head, and I don't think this is going to happen because I don't think the other team would trade this player, even though I feel like they should be a little bit more open to it. But Duncan Robinson, the
Mhm.
problem with that is Oklahoma City's defense will take a
Yes.
little bit of a hit.
Right.
As much as Duncan Robinson's going to compete, he's like, as soon as Dallas sees him, like, Luka's gonna
Right.
figure
You're
out
gonna
how
hunt
to.
every time.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Kyrie also, like,
Mhm.
he's gonna have a giant bullseye. So then I was thinking about, all right, who are the two-way guys that you could potentially get? There are not a lot of them out there, honestly.
No.
And even if you wanted to go for, like, a Duncan Robinson whose salary is 19 million, you're talking about, like, Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Williams, maybe you have to add, like, another minimum or something along those
Yep.
lines. And it's like, if you're OKC, do you really want to do that? Probably not.
And the other thing too, Brian, is that the free agent acquisition they made in the offseason to get Alex Caruso, right? He has not shot the ball
At
at
all.
his career numbers, right?
Mm-mm.
He's a career 37% three-point shooter, which is very good. He's
Yes.
shooting 25% from three this year,
Yeah.
right?
I
So
think
if
that's an
we can
improvement from where it was before.
Wish God. If he can get himself back up to near his career average, that will help lift the tides, right? So I think there are some shooters on this team who are underperforming their career averages, right? And so maybe Sam and Mark are like, look, we trust in our guys. We trust they put in the work. They'll get themselves back up to their average. That'll help them. Jalen Williams improves as a three-point shooter. You get SGA to take more threes because he's, again, you said, very capable of making that shot. But yeah, look, you will never uh, be wrong getting more shooting. But the point you made about their defense, again, when the Thunder put their guys on the floor, there is no one you're hunting on this team, right? Because everybody is so good. No hunting. So if you go out and get a Duncan Robinson, again, to your point, that limits your defense now. And now you have a target. So now it's, how do we compensate for that? How do we pre-switch to prevent them from getting at Duncan, right? Like, and it's this chess game you have to play back and forth. So I imagine Mark is having these conversations with Sam, like, where he's like, look, I'm down for more shooting, but I don't want someone we have to hide that we don't trust on defense.
And Thunder fans, I'm not saying trade for Duncan Robinson. I'm not saying that at all. But I just, a name, like, I,
Yeah.
I do wonder, can you get a shooter? And this is not in the case of Duncan, but, like, can you get a shooter who won't get hunted on every offensive possession? Especially because, like, look at the teams you're going to be playing against in playoffs. Like Dallas, it's not a small
Dallas.
probability that you're going to
Hmm.
meet Dallas again in the playoffs. So this could actually be the Western Conference Finals this time.
Hmm.
So I think Oklahoma City, as presently constructed, can still win the Western Conference, by the
For
way.
sure.
The thing is, like, you want to have a higher floor as it pertains to shooting from the perimeter and making those 3-point shots. And that's
Yep.
the thing. That's the thing that we're sort of looking at here. Okay. Let's get to this one question that we actually have from TJ. Thank you, TJ, for comment. Which guys do you think should trade for Jimmy Butler? We're not gonna spend too much time on this because we want to talk about the NBA Cup. I could do a
Yeah.
whole video on this. I
Right.
probably should.
I mean, look,
Um,
Jimmy's expensive. Is that contract expiring?
yes, it
Okay, so
is.
that's the one good news. Look,
There's one.
again,
There's one team to me. Just one.
who you think? Golden State?
Golden State. Yes.
Yeah,
Because Dallas doesn't have the pieces.
right.
Houston, I don't think needs to rush their timeline. I think they're fine where they are. Get into the
What's
playoffs
the
first, see what they're
salary
like.
match coming back from Golden State?
Well, you're gonna need Wiggins. You're gonna need Kaminga. I would have said Anthony Melton, but that's already out the door.
Right, 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 right.
Kaminga's absolutely gonna be, he would be in that deal because I mean it looks like that's where this is headed anyway with Golden State. But I mean, Wiggins is a 26, and
Right.
you're obviously not trading Draymond Green
No, no, no,
because
no,
the
no, no.
whole thing is like, Jimmy and Draymond would be kindred spirits and play around Steph, yada, yada, yada. And
Right.
Jimmy's contract, by the way, it's expiring. He does have a player option for next year, but I mean, it's in his best
Mm,
interest for the time being, at least, to try to get one last extension before his career is up. The cap hit right now is at 49 million about, and the
all
player
right.
options for 52.4. So Golden State, I mean, 49 you got to get to. Wiggins is 26, and you have
Kaminga's what, like 8,
yeah,
6? I mean, he's not a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I mean, with Melton, it was easier. Now that that's Schroeder, I mean, unless you kind of want to be grimy and like right before the deadline when Schroeder's trade eligible again, I think it's the day before I heard. You can
Yeah,
you
but
can do
then
that, but then it's like what's the point at that
what's the
point, you
point? And
know?
that hurts Golden State's depth. Steve's been playing with 13, 11, 12, 11, 12 guys all season. You're going to gut all that depth to get Jimmy in, and then God forbid Jimmy, Draymond, or Steph, either one of them gets hurt. Season over.
That's the thing.
Like,
It's just hard, TJ,
yeah,
to come up with like it's just hard to come up with a team just because of the number is so
yeah,
inflated.
no,
And there was like Dallas, I don't think has enough,
no. Dallas doesn't have,
and
no.
who's the Phoenix absolutely doesn't have like they have to. It has to
It'd
be
be
Beal.
Beal. It'd have to be Beal, which,
Yeah,
and Bradley's a no trade. So,
Pat Riley's already passed on him. So
right. So,
I don't for those reasons I don't think Jimmy for now is going anywhere. I
right.
legitimately do think he wants to extend there. It's just they disagree on value. Like Jimmy wants one thing, and the Heat are like, I don't know about all that. But
Let's listen. They're being smart, man. You look, Jimmy's great. I have no issues with Jimmy, but like, I'm not. If I'm the Heat, I'm not paying $40 million for a 35-year-old guy who plays what 50 games a year. No, no.
and plays hard
You
on
know,
the
yeah,
floor. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I'm not. No, no. That's just bad business. Like that's
Yeah.
just bad business.
Yeah, but I think Golden State is the best fit, so to speak. Like I think him with Steph and Draymond could actually be pretty nasty, in that complimentary second star role next to Steph Curry. Like that'd be cool for the final act of Steph's career to just run with Jimmy. I think that'd be interesting. I don't know if they'd win the West or anything, but I
Yeah,
think
I
it'd be
mean, and
interesting.
Jimmy playing in that offense. It's a very different offense than Jimmy's used to playing in, right? A lot of off-ball movement, read,
Which
react.
he can do. He can
He could
cut.
do, no
Yeah,
doubt.
he can be a cutter and things of that nature. Okay, NBA Cup. What makes the NBA Cup work? What needs improvements? And we'll get into why people aren't. Not everyone's feeling this, and it's kind of divisive. Me and
Yeah,
Jarod like it. Jarod and I like it.
yeah,
We watch again international stuff. There are Super Cups worldwide that do this all the time in the regular season in basketball, in soccer, and other sports and things of that nature. Um, why do people like us like this tournament? Like, I mean, why should more people like this tournament? Might be the better question.
Well, Brian, because we like basketball at the end of the day. Like that's what it comes down to.
Basketball with stakes. I think that's the
Yeah,
important part.
we love basketball.
Uh-huh.
That's the point. And I think, you know, people who are complaining, oh, whatever, it's like they're just finding things to get upset about. And it's like, I don't care that the courts look stupid. Like, who gives a I don't care about that. Like, I don't care. I just don't. Like, there are literally people on social media the entire game complaining about what the court looks like. I'm like, are you watching the game?
I
Or are
have a
you
couple of
yelling
tweets
about the
about I
court?
have a couple of tweets about how distracting the piss yellow Lakers court was,
But
but
like,
that's about it.
ultimately, for me, it's like, what are these? And I know you agree with this, Brian. We saw great play in the group stage games and
Yes.
these in the single elimination. You know,
Intense.
the title game notwithstanding, and again, had Oklahoma City just been an average shooting team, not even because they were well below average. If they were an average shooting team tonight, this
Yes.
would have been a higher six game late, a couple possession game late in the fourth. And I
Right.
think to your point, stakes. That's what we care about. Stakes that matter. And I think the problem with the NBA is the season's too long. We don't have stakes that matter until the end of the season. right? Till April is when the first games that matter. And now we have in December games that, and you could tell these guys care. They're pissed when the Warriors were livid that they didn't make it to the knockout round.
Yeah.
Like they care. These teams care, and I love it.
So, okay, stakes. Let's talk about this real quick. There are people, I know who I've spoken to who don't feel like there are stakes, like actual stakes here. Like, yes, it's tournament, but what's it all for? Is it just prize money or whatever? And I'm like,
it's a trophy. What do you mean?
It's a trophy, but we watch these other things, and it's like, listen, there are tournaments like in the Philippines, for example, they have like a Commissioner's Cup. The WNBA obviously has a Commissioner's Cup. There's a Copa del Rey in Spain. There's all these different tournaments across soccer and international basketball leagues, like in Europe and Asia and Africa and things of that nature. I believe the Basketball Africa League has their own play-in tournament, I think. But like these are in all these different leagues during the season, before the season, whatever the case may be. And to me, there are stakes because ultimately, what do these guys play basketball for? Money and competition. Like the tournament,
what are we talking about?
The tournament provides both things, and also it does legitimately, like it does add intrigue to the regular season.
No doubt.
I think the one of the only things that I would sort of fix, and maybe I'm jumping ahead here, or maybe not, because after all, what needs improvements is right here on the bottom. But one of the things that I would say is like, I think this should actually be closer to Christmas and closer to Christmas. I think this should end right before Christmas, because if Christmas is the day that people start to lock into the NBA, like for real, then I think this should end, like the championship in Vegas or whatever should end like December 22nd, December 21st, whatever, like right before. And then after that, it's like, okay, it leads right into Christmas, boom, boom, boom. So then it would start a couple weeks after it does. Maybe it starts like, maybe the run time for the tournament is it starts like Black Friday, which is another like signature NBA day where teams play in the afternoon. Everybody plays because there aren't Thanksgiving games like that, or really at all. And then you go from basically Black Friday through there. And also, like, I do think they can make it easier to follow in terms of like, hey, and I've heard this suggestion too, so I'm not creating this. So shout out to whoever came up with it, because I'm forgetting right now. And it's also been multiple people. Just make the groups of divisions. Just make the groups of divisions. Like if we still have divisions, it's like, okay, use it for that. And then ultimately, I think, the whole goal is to get to the final, get to the knockout stage, which should be 8 in the East, 8 in the West, and then single elimination till we get to a winner. Like, I think just instead of just mixing it up, just do it with the divisional teams. Because what are we using divisions for otherwise, other than like gambling? What are the divisions for? I mean,
it's just stupid stuff because we've always done it this way, and it's the worst fucking phrase in all of anything.
They don't even, like, before, when you cares. When you were a division winner, you were locked into like top 4 or whatever it was. Now even that's like not really a thing. Yeah.
Look, we like this, Brian. Again, as you mentioned, we watch other sports. I love, if I'm a fan of a team, I love the fact that my team has a chance to win multiple titles in one year. I love that, right? That's one of the great things about football, or soccer as it's called here in the States, right? If you root for a Premier League team, you can win the Premier Championship, right? The Premier League title, right? For being the best team in the season. You can win the FA Cup. You can win the Carabao Cup. You can win Champions League, right? You have 4 things that you can try to win. 4. In the NBA, you have 1. Oh, now 2. But it used to be forever just 1. I love the fact that there's now a second thing a team can win, especially because you have teams that are different stages. There are teams like the Bucks, like the Suns, like these teams that are old and veteran, and their goal is we're all in, we're trying to win a championship. It's like, all right, well, good luck, But meanwhile, last year, you can't tell me Indiana getting to the finals last year against the Lakers did not help buoy them as they went on their run to the conference finals and the playoffs, right? And I think that's what I love about it, is that it gives teams a chance to play games with stakes. Yes, they care about the regular season, but look, a Tuesday night in Detroit, a Thursday in Charlotte, you're like, meh, but we're going to Vegas, and it's like, no, if we win this, yes, we get $500K, we get this, we get that, like, it's all that, like, and so don't make any mistake about it, TJ. Players play for winning. These guys are the most competitive people in the world. They fight most of them. They fight over everything. Who's the first to get to practice? Who's the first to tie their shoe and get out of the locker? I mean,
women.
They're just obviously that they compete over literally everything. That's how they're wired. They are psychopaths in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely
Maniacs.
want to think about it. Most of these guys have been playing for trophies their whole lives since they were like 4. That's all they do is play to win trophies, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then it became money and stuff as they got older, but that's what they play to win for. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great. We can make some tweaks to it, but ultimately, I think it's the way to go. Look, you know what I think, Brian? Shorten the regular season. That way you give the regular season meaning. The reason why it works in soccer is because those leagues, you play each team in your league twice, right? Once home, once away, right? So winning the league matters. That has value. In the NBA, winning the regular season means nothing. Nobody cares. Oh, you were the best team in the regular season. Okay, great. Did you win the title? Like that's all people care about. Did you win the title? No. Have the regular season matter. That's 1. NBA Cup, 2, NBA Championship, 3. Like, and you know what I'd love to see one day? One day, a true Champions League where we have like, a G League, NBA, whatever, and we do this knockouts and elimination. Yes, and the Euro League, all that. Will an NBA team win most of the time? Probably, but there will be that time where they lose, and that will be huge.
Huge. I hope that does happen. And here's the thing, like you already spoke about this from a soccer perspective, but like in basketball, it's the same thing. Like these top teams in Europe play in multiple leagues. Like they play in their own domestic league, then they'll play in Euro League or Euro Cup. If you're, for example, if you're one of the best teams in Serbia, you'll play in the Serbian league, you may play in Euro League, and you might also play in the Super League. Like there's all these different things. There's the Adriatic League that's out there too. Like there are all these different sort of ways to win titles and compete for titles. And it especially works in other countries because there are some leagues, and Serbia is probably one of these examples, but there are these leagues where like only one of a few teams, like there's not a lot of parity. The NBA actually has parity now compared to before, but I think like if the NBA Cup was around when the Warriors dynasty was actually like at its peak, both pre Kevin Durant and during Kevin Durant, like especially during Kevin Durant, I think this would have had an even more significant meaning because it would have been like, okay, we know the Warriors and the Cavs are going to be in the finals, but everyone else could compete for this. And I think,
but if you're the Warriors and the Cavs, do you go for the treble? We're going to win the league, we're going to win the NBA Cup, and we're going to win the NBA title. Do you go for it all? Like, why not?
Yeah. I think ultimately, like it's competition, it's money. It adds intrigue to the regular season at a time where like this could be the worst time to sometimes watch it if you're just an average consumer, right? If you're not like super locked into like Isaiah Joe possessions or whatever, and you don't have to be. You consume it the way you want, but I'm saying like this adds intrigue, and also from a betting perspective, like you can bet on these things. Like you can bet on who's going to win this group, who's going to win that group, who's going to win MVP, all these different things. And I think it provides a lot of opportunity in that regard. But to me, ultimately, I feel like the conversations I've had with people, their sort of disconnect is like, why does this matter? Whatever. And I feel like it's an Americanized way of thinking, right? It's because they're just not used to it. They're conditioned to be like, hey, I grew up and it was just the NBA championship, all I care about. And you've mentioned this before. It's kind of like rings culture where people are like, hey, I only care about this. But it's like we grew up with that mentality here. Whereas if you do watch other leagues and pay attention to other leagues and follow other leagues, even loosely, even a little bit, right? Then you can see like, oh, okay. And soccer especially, you could see, oh, okay, like there are multiple opportunities to win and it wouldn't be as foreign of a concept. I just think people in America, people here just have to get used to the concept of, hey, this thing matters. And I think we need, because we've done this twice already, let's see 3 more years. And after a 5-year period, let's see how it resonates, if it resonates, but also let's see how impactful it could be for the teams who make it to Vegas, for example, the teams who make it far, the teams who win it, because the Lakers won it last year and flamed out. What if the Bucks actually go on a run to the Eastern Conference Finals and challenge the Celtics
then it
and
matters.
push them to 6,
You mentioned, Brian, for things to matter. Things matter when we say they matter. Right? Like that's when
I get the point.
Things matter when we decide they matter. That's all. People just need to get out of their own heads and stop being stupid and be like, yo, it's competition. It's a title. It matters. Yes, it's not the NBA title. It's like same thing in soccer, right? Just go back to that sport. The things all rank differently depending on who the club is, right? Now, for the football club that I root for, Real Madrid, for them, Champions League is the most important of all the titles.
Yes.
Then it's the league.
That is
Then it's Copa del Rey. Then it's Super Cup, right? That's how they.
same thing for the top basketball teams in Europe. They want to win if you're in EuroLeague, if you're in EuroLeague or Euro
Right.
Cup, because it's not the same thing. People think it's if you're in EuroLeague, you want to win EuroLeague, you want to win your domestic league too. But EuroLeague is like the best teams in all
Right.
of Europe. Same
Right.
thing in the Euro Cup. It's like the second tier, but it's still many of the best teams in Euro Cup in Europe are in the Euro Cup. You want to win that before you win your domestic league. You want to win both, but that's top priority because it's more international, so to speak.
And that's for the top teams, right? But for other teams, it's no. They want to win Copa del Rey, right? That's the most important thing to them, right? And so it's wherever your team is, the trophies have and the tournaments have what matters to them, right? And so everything matters. It's just who's playing for what. And look, and the great teams go, no, we're going to take them all. We're going for treble. We're going for the quadruple. We're going for the septuple. We're going to win every possible title there is to win. Great, right? I just think that we need to, again, get out of this like American mindset of only the NBA championship matters. Like, guys, like so by that statement, literally only one team is successful every year. To me, that's whack, right? Like a team
Right.
can have a great year, right? And they win the NBA Cup. And let's say that, what if Detroit had gotten to like Vegas, not won it, but like gotten to the semifinals? How huge is that for a team like Detroit? Major. So yes, it matters.
By the way, I think it's big for Houston that they got to the Final Four.
100%.
Like I think because Houston is a team where they're ahead of schedule. I'm still like, are they a contender? Like, nah, they can't because creativity.
Defensively they are,
but
their defense is good enough.
They're this year's Orlando Magic in some respects.
I mean, I think Orlando's this year's Orlando Magic. They're so really good.
Yeah, despite being shorthanded. And like, I think that was big for them. And I felt like, man, if they beat OKC, oh my goodness, like who knows what could happen here. And then in the Eastern Conference, obviously Milwaukee kind of reminding us like, hey, we can still be one of the top teams, so to speak, is probably like a takeaway that I would have from that. That's not insignificant. Sure. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I'm with you there. Look, again, I think that fans need to just like get over yourself, right? Like, no, but seriously, like at the end of the day, this is sports. Like it is not world like issues. Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, we're gonna have plenty of those next year. I mean,
correct. It's an opportunity to win another title. Okay,
right.
Rank it hard. Yes, of course, the NBA Larry O'Brien Trophy is the most important. But yeah, this one matters too. That's all. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. And also I do want to shout out the Hawks because they made it to the Final Four.
And you know what's interesting about the Hawks, Brian? We talked about this on the podcast, David and I, this week. I feel like,
podcast.
Thank you. The Hawks are going to kind of kick themselves and be like, man, we missed a golden opportunity because the Bucks were not great in that game. The Hawks could have beaten them. And I just feel like they didn't have the requisite urgency they needed late in that game to win. Unlike the Bucks who came out tonight in the championship game had the requisite. They played like their hair was on fire. And I feel like Atlanta, and again, so maybe that's it. Again, you need reference points and learning points. Maybe they look back and they say, we did not take each possession as seriously as we should have, right? And because again, it's all about build. Because ultimately, you want teams to be good, right? And you want them to understand what it takes to win. This tournament allows them to understand. Oh, we measured ourselves. This ain't just some Tuesday night in wherever. No, Giannis came to play late in that game, and we did not match that. Okay, we got to be better.
Yeah, we'll see how the Bucks, Hawks, Thunder, and Rockets produce to end the year. We already talked about basically why this hasn't really caught on in our opinions. We feel like it's just this mindset of people just have to get used to it. And look, they could accept it or don't. But I also think like it's new and kind of like the play-in. I feel like more people are probably in on the play-in now.
People hated the play-in. Now they love it. Like
There are some people who still do, but I like the play-in a lot. And that, by the way, another thing it's pretty internationally, like it's not only international, but like that's done in a lot of other tournaments. There are play-in tournaments. We've been seeing this with the NCAA tournament forever, so that's another thing there. Just last thing though, on the cup, and really before we get out of here, what is the biggest thing that you think should be improved, probably before the next few? Is it marketing? Is it, just the tournament itself, formatting, or whatever the case may be? Because I've
You
already
know,
talked
it's
about this.
it's so funny, Brian. I feel like everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's so complicated to understand." I go, "What? What is complicated about it? There is nothing complicated. You're in a group. You got to win every game in your group by as many points as possible. Period. The end. Like, what is this? Like, oh, I don't understand. What do you mean you don't understand? Like, I just like that drives me nuts. I'm like, and it's an NBA Cup game because all you people like to complain, the court looks different. So that's how you know it's an NBA Cup game. Oh, why does that court look crazy? And there's a big trophy in the middle because it's a cup game tonight, right? They got the crazy jerseys on tonight. Yeah, it's a cup game. So this idea of people not knowing, oh, I'm not, no, you just watch. It's a cup game, right? The court
Right.
looks crazy because it's a
Right.
cup game.
Right.
Now, the challenge they have is the Vegas of it all. And I know why the reasons are they're in Vegas. One, they want to go to a warm weather place. Two, as people who may know this, NBA players have to pay taxes in every city that they play in, right?
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
If you notice why boxing fights are always in Vegas, there are tax reasons why.
Well,
And
now
so,
a lot of them are in Saudi Arabia, but there are other
well,
reasons why.
that's a whole other reason for that, which we will not get into tonight. But I have much to say about that. And so that's why Vegas is a popular spot and is agreed upon by the Players Association. And look, most of these teams play in cold weather places. They want to be somewhere warm for a few days and get
Also,
away, and also all the extracurricular activities that we know happen.
you know me well enough to know I would go there, but I was just going to bring up, hey, expansion. I mean,
yes, that's obviously
Vegas is going to be likely,
and the infrastructure is there, right? We play
right.
summer league there, all the things,
yes.
blah blah blah.
Yes.
But and this is the challenge I think it's going to have no matter where you go, Brian. You have 48 hours to know who's going to be where. That's not enough time for most average fans who want to buy tickets and go whatever to plan.
Right.
But the hope is that people who love basketball enough and just decide, I'm just going to buy tickets for the semifinals and finals. I don't care who's there because I love basketball, right? It's like a Super Bowl. People beyond all the corporate money that gets all the most of the seats.
Of course.
People who they buy it ahead in advance. They don't care what teams are going to be there because they just want to go to the Super Bowl.
WrestleMania. Yep.
Right? We don't know what the main event's going to be. I just buy because I want to go.
Yes.
That's the hope. If you love basketball, then just go. You're going to get, again, this game notwithstanding, the two semifinal games were super competitive, right? Like, and this first half, 1 point, it was very competitive, right? So I think it's just a matter of people caring. Now, I know there's been some talk floated around about maybe giving the top team at their home court. That way, whatever. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that because that's how Champions League works, right? So you play the final is always played at a neutral site, but the knockout rounds are played home and away at each stadium. Now it's not a two-legged tie in basketball, single elimination. So the higher seed in whatever game, fine, give them the home game. I don't care. Like, that's fine by me. If you think that'll make it better, cool. Like, but I just think that when people care about it, if you love basketball, who do you care who's going to be there? You're watching two NBA teams competing for a title. What do you care whose it is?
I kind of want point differential though to be like part of the NBA, like not just the cup, but because again, this comes from like this is a thing in soccer. This is also a thing in international basketball where the point differential in these tournaments matter. It matters in FIBA. It matters in the Olympics. It matters in the World Cup, the AmeriCup, Asia Basket, Afro Basket, or the Asia Cup, Afro Basket, Euro Basket. It matters in these tournaments ultimately for qualification and all these different things.
And all those people, Brian, who were like, dude, sportsmanship. I'm like, yep, listen, man. If you don't like getting scored on, then play better D. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I like watching games. I enjoy this even with Olympic qualifiers where they know, like, all right, we need to win by 11 in order for us to have like a stranglehold on this position before we move on, whatever the case may be.
Keep firing.
Yes.
Keep firing.
And you
I
keep
love
the
it.
best guys out there. You get to see
God.
you get to see the best players play for longer. And I know people are gonna be like, oh, they might get hurt, whatever. When it's like, all right, well, don't play 82 game regular seasons.
I mean, listen, that's
They're
just
the
the
only
biggest
league in the
takeaway.
world, the only league in the world that has that long of regular season. Even the best teams in Europe, they do not play 82 games, even including playoffs.
Because it's madness. It is madness. Nobody wants to play. Look, the players don't want to play that much basketball. They will tell you they cannot wait for the All-Star break to come. Half of them hope they don't even make it to All-Star. They're like, we just want to go away for a week.
Yeah, that's very true. That's Jarod Hector, True Hoop podcast. Also follow him on Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky as well. I'm been skeeting more, I guess is what it's called. Been posting there more work stuff and everything. Back with more on the channel very soon. And in case you missed it, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk preview. That is up. Both previews are up, so that's up on the channel. And thank you for watching. Thanks for the support. Channel is growing, so do continue to provide that watch time. And we will check in again very soon. Follow Jarod, follow me, and